Let's talk fall colors in Colorado, my absolute favorite time of the year, the golden aspens. I mean, it's really magical, and it's especially magical because it only happens for a very, very short period of time. So things could look a little different this year, both when it comes to timing and how vibrant those colors are. Two big things to take away from this. Colors are likely going to change earlier, and they're also probably not going to be as vibrant. We'll explain it all. My name is Kylie Bearse. I am the founder of Approachable Outdoors, which is a hiking website. It's all aimed at taking the intimidation out of getting outdoors, helping people feel really empowered as they're choosing to hit the trail, get outside, try new adventures. But I'm also a meteorologist. You can find me every morning on Fox 31 in Denver. I'm on Monday through Friday from 4:30 until about 11. So I'm uniquely qualified to talk about fall colors across this beautiful state. Not to mention, I just am generally a huge fan and plan several trips around the fall colors every year. That being said, it's definitely not a perfect science. There are usually a couple of websites that we'll look at. We try and update the map every year the best that we can. We base it on experience, on drought conditions, on what the weather has been like, and also how it's been in previous years. What makes for great fall colors? It's actually a combo of warm, sunny days followed by those crisp, cool overnights. You don't want it to be freezing, but you do want it to get a little bit cooler. It also starts happening this time of year, not just because the weather changes, but because those days also get a little bit shorter, because then we get the nights that are longer, and the chlorophyll, which is what turns the leaves green in the first place, that production starts to slow down, revealing all of the other amazing colors. Usually we're talking about mid to late September, even into October, as the starting for the peak of fall colors. I think this year things could be a little bit earlier, and there's a reason for that. We have had really bad drought conditions up in our high country, getting worse and worse throughout the last couple of months here in the summer. The beginning of summer was actually pretty good. June was a good month, and then July and August especially has been really lackluster, and we've been seeing those fires popping up when we're looking at our high country, especially out over the western slope. Let me show you that drought map because it's really stunning to see. This was as of the week of August 26th. We get updates every Thursday from the U.S. Drought Monitor. I am hopeful that with some rain in the forecast, we're going to see improvements, but I don't know that it's soon enough that we're going to see it really impact the fall colors. And that also leads us into why I think this year might be a little less bright, a little less vibrant when it comes to those colors. It's the drought conditions. We just don't quite have the right formula for that. But also, as we're looking ahead, the next 7 to 10 days, and we're in the end of August going into early September, it's looking well below average when it comes to temperatures. It's looking extra rainy, even up in our high country. Brewster's excited about the cooler temperatures. It means we get to go for a walk a little bit earlier in the day. And we're also dealing with a good amount of cloud cover. Going back to what I said makes for good fall colors, we want sunny, warm days, and then those crisp, cool overnights. And we could even see a little snow on the peaks of the mountains here as we're looking ahead. Now, this doesn't mean it's going to be a bad year. I think any year that we have fall colors, it's a really good year. We have beautiful golden aspens that we love. We get some of the reds as well. So let's talk about the timing. And I changed the map up a little bit. Traditionally, and when I got to Denver 8 years ago as a meteorologist, I just pulled the old station map format and we would actually just go north to south. So it started up in Steamboat, that would change first because it gets colder there first, versus southern Colorado, which stays warm a little bit later. I still like that model for a lot of the lower elevation spots. However, there are chunks in the middle of our state and in southwestern Colorado that are higher in elevation. They are going to peak early, and that's why I've got them a little bit on the early side. So with the way that we're already seeing fall colors starting to show in some spots of those higher elevation areas, I like the second week to the third week of September for those high elevation spots in central Colorado and in southwestern Colorado. So pretty close to Telluride, especially on some of the mountains there. When you take the gondola up, you can get those amazing colors. And then as we're going into those surrounding areas that aren't quite as high in elevation, we're talking more like the second and third week of September. And then once we get into the foothills, western slope, and a little bit farther west of the Continental Divide, places like Meeker, west of Telluride, that's going to be a little bit later in September and early October. So I do think things are going to peak a little bit quicker this year. Last year I planned what I was hoping would be the perfect time for fall colors down in Silverton. I did it for the first weekend of October. I was super stoked. I was like, this is going to be great. By the time we got there, things were already past peak. Don't get me wrong, there were still some beautiful spots, but it wasn't quite the vibrant fall colors. So much of it was already down on the ground. And so seeing that last year, and Silverton granted a little higher in elevation, Red Mountain Pass as well, that went into my decision this year because last year Steamboat peaked after Silverton. It was a very, very funky year, but I think we're going to see more of that trending that direction as we go forward over the next several years. Now, the Denver Metro, that happens into the middle and later part of October. So there's a lot to work with here. And as I mentioned, this is not a perfect perfect science. I changed things a lot this year with the Pinpoint Weather team. I worked with another meteorologist to work on this map really, really closely because we wanted to have a better idea for people to plan, because people literally plan trips around all of these different, dates that we put together. But that being said, we may update it as we go through the next couple of weeks. If we see things peaking in different areas, if we learn more about the drought in one spot versus another, how is this rain going to impact things in the next couple of weeks? So we are on it. We're going to be watching it. I will pop on with an update, but in the meantime, plan for September for those fall colors. And even if it's not as vibrant, it's still going to be a really good year. Oh, and if you're looking for trips to do for fall colors, I have my entire guide to favorite hikes that I've done. Basically, anytime I'm hiking during the year, if there's a ton of aspens on the trail, I make a note of that and I put it onto my fall colors guide. So that is all on approachableoutdoors.com. So I will link it below and make sure you subscribe. I'm going to be doing a lot of adventures as we get closer into the fall colors.